All right, folks. Good morning. Like really good morning. Like morning. I don't know how Bart does this, man. It is what 0700 out here in San Francisco. It is foggy, cold. The sun's not even up yet. Oh my God, I don't know how people do this and live out here. Um, Actually, I did, but down in San Diego, this is Northern California is a different experience. So I had a good weekend. I got in Saturday, actually got to see the Blues fly Saturday under a beautiful sky. And then yesterday we pulled out on this big ass party boat, 300 feet, 3-story, 4-story boat. And I said, I used to live in San Diego, Tamara. I said, I'm in San Francisco now. And didn't clear up, man. The fog would not break. I think the top of the San Francisco Bridge is like 750 feet, and the Blues to do a flat show need 1,000 feet. So they sent like I think it was number 5. I couldn't see the number on the back. They sent somebody out as a weather recce, like at about 500 feet, raging around to check it out. But they ended up canceling, which sucked. So, excuse me. It ended up turning like into a booze cruise, just driving around, which was awesome because I got to speak to 283 commercial energy employees and all of their customers about no fallen heroes. And obviously, being in the Bay Area, being in the Bay Area, I was going to say they were blown away, but a lot of people weren't blown away, right? The birthplace of the psychedelic movement in the United States is here. Steve Jobs, his background. He said he thought of Apple, the computer company, after an LSD trip. The internet creator created the internet after a psychedelic trip. So it was awesome. People were blown away because I did this 5 years ago for Commercial Energy. It was their 20th anniversary, and this is their 25th anniversary. And just 5 years apart, people came up to me who were on this trip the last time, were like, you seemed different, just because it took me a while to get to the No Fallen Heroes stuff, because I did the leadership keynote and stuff like that. And everybody were like, you just carry yourself different, you look different, you are different. I'm like, wow, I guess that's a good thing. And then after the psychedelic talk, they're like, all right, well, now it makes sense. So that was cool. But I mean, literally the fog's like down all the buildings out here, and it sucked. So I forgot my flight jacket. I knew it was cold too. I'm like, this ain't my first rodeo. We lived in Lemoore, California, which is about 2.5 hours away from here. So Susie and I used to drive up here to get out of Lemoore. We'd stay out at Treasure Island, just the naval base out there, because it was like $19 for a room. And so we love San Francisco, but yeah, it sucks. Went to the top of the Mark. It's a beautiful place that you get a great view of the whole Bay Area. And then at the front of the top of the Mark, the bar up there, it's got a big case of military bottles, right? And if you find your squadron bottle, you can get a drink out of it. And if you drink the last drink out of that bottle, you have to replace it, obviously. But they have a nice big log of all the military guys. They have a nice photo at the beginning with a pair of Navy wings that says, this is dedicated to all the naval aviators from Alameda and San Francisco that, were lost in World War II and Korea. So it's really cool. 1942 to 1953. So you bet, Jack. The bond market's closed today, obviously, but the stock market's open. So you're going to see a little less volatility in the market. I don't have multiple monitors today, obviously, so I'm doing this poor man's MacGyver style. But okay, let's get into it. We're starting to, I think we're starting to get over to here. Saw a couple articles over the weekend talking about the retail traders finally starting to wake up to fear, and then might even start seeing some of this capitulation. So we're starting to approach this area. We'll obviously talk about Putin and the bridge and all sorts of other stuff, but I'm just talking about the equity market, let alone the world market. North Korea lighting off bottle rockets. I mean, the world's just going to to shit here pretty quickly, let alone the stock market. All right, some admin items. Make sure you register if you're not in one of our investment clubs right now, that you register for the brief for Thursday to get into one of our investment clubs. This is why we started it, right? The COVID crash. Wiz, what are you doing after hours? What are you doing before the briefs? What's your intel? Like, okay, talk to the attorneys. Well, you know what? You can make an investment club and you can do all that stuff in there. It's great. So full throttle, solo Amazon, Tomcat Charts is kind of in the training side of the house, and then our investment clubs are the execution, where we can fire trades. I can tell you what I'm personally trading, what other folks are personally trading. They're great organizations, and I'm not joking when I say these are the best hedge funds I've ever been in. Why? Because we trade our own money. People who don't trade their own money, I'm in the financial district right here, and we used to have, when I was in Chicago, our firm had a Pacific Coast. We had a P-Coast trading arm out here. But again, it's interesting. Unless you're a partner in a firm, you're not trading your money. When I became a junior partner in Chicago, I was able to leave my money in the firm and do that. So your give a shit meter goes up a lot more when it's your money. When it's not your money, that's just human nature, right, folks? I always tell you about the Immunogen guy who lost $4 million in the blink of an eye. And as I was walking him out of the firm, he's like, dude, it ain't my money. And he started a couple weeks down the street at another firm. And you get the red team, right? A lot of people, place trades in here like, what do you guys think of this? Blah, blah, blah. And we rip it apart and make it better. So these things are great. This is really where you want to end up as a Top Gun Options member. So make sure you register for that. Make sure you catch up with all Sliders podcasts, really getting some great feedback. Maybe Slider's going to get his own podcast, man, because he's helped a lot of people. I'm getting 5-10 messages a day, maybe even more on Instagram, on my email. It's almost overwhelming in a good way, but just the amount of not just veterans, but service people, ton of folks on Instagram. Hey, can you let me know when this is available to civilians? I'm like, it is. I've got a couple poke messages too, like, well, you need to help regular people, not just veterans. I'm like, that's what we're doing, man. I got to put my old ego away and go, hey, man, this is exactly what we're trying to do. And this treatment is available for everybody. It's not just for veterans. We are kind of focusing on veterans right now. That's the closest alligator to my boat and the highest at risk people, in my opinion. What were the numbers last week where I printed it out? The suicide rate among veterans in just the American population is X amount higher. You guys know all the stats, but I'm doing my best to field all these. I need to hire some people, man, because this is getting. I got about 20 day jobs, and I don't want to drop any of them, right? So, Paul, we're ironing out some creative differences on the with the creative side of the house, and then we're pressing forward. Next on deck is taking the ladies down for treatment, the female fighter pilots. Our brother Sledge, our fellow TGO member who is in obviously No Fallen Heroes, he was down in Mexico last week. If you follow his Instagram or he's got his travel Tony, his stuffed tiger that he travels with. Travel Tony has his own Instagram page, so go check that out. But Sledge went down to hold space for one of his brothers, one of his F-15 brothers, and it sounds like the spirit, truth, divine source worked exactly as, guess what? God, spirit, truth, divine works. So it's good to hear. There it is. There's Sledge. So Sledge was doing the Lord's work, doing our work, No Fallen Heroes work down in Mexico. So welcome back, Sledge. All right. Anything else admin-wise? Let me read my admin list. No victories. So we're gonna, did learning occur last week? So make sure you go follow Sledge on Instagram at jpatmull, and also Travel Tony. It's a cool account. So if you did the the Amazon trades as brief last week, you made $3,800. If you're a quick reminder, if you're in the long synthetic stock Amazon that's bullish out a couple years, remember, even old Wiz thinks the world's going to end. New Wiz is okay with the world ending because I know exactly what's going to happen. That's not ego, that's fact. I don't have a fear of death, but I want to live forever, right? It's not cool when you hear a pilot say he has no fear of death, but you guys know what I mean. I want grandkids. I want to go when spirit calls me. But hey, man, you know what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm getting at. I'm bullish on Amazon into the future. You have to be. And sorry, I'm a little hoarse. Talking to 280 people after giving a keynote is a lot of talking. So I talked for probably 6 hours yesterday. But we're lowering our cost basis. I haven't had time to add up all these short Amazon. I mean, we put on the synthetic Amazon position a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and we've been just making about $1,000 a week on that position. So what does that do? That lowers the cost basis. You can get to the point where your synthetic stock trade is free. It's paid for by selling all the front month upside calls. We're going to do it again in a couple minutes. So you can be bipolar in trading, folks. You can be long-term bullish out 2.5 years on Amazon, and short-term, we're all going to die, right? So we can do both of those. So if you've been doing the Lord's work, selling some front month Amazon short calls, you are lowering your cost basis. So there you go, Goose. That's a great way to put it. My God, every aviator obviously respects death. Aviation's a self-cleaning oven, but I have no more fear of it, which is just what an incredible feeling. I've talked to my mom about it. She's, along with her cancer, she's got obviously some heart issues. So if you watched, you watched How to Change Your Mind, because that was an order, that wasn't a request. You saw that Google it, Johns Hopkins psilocybin cancer treatment for these 85, however many people in that snow, 24, 25, whatever, 85% of the respondents, that's the number, 85 of the respondents, their quality of life went through the roof and they had no fear of death. Again, I'm saying that wrong, but that's kind of what the answer was. The lady that they interviewed, she reminds me of my mom. The white hair, she's a Catholic, and it's incredible. But it was funny. The people on the boat were like, "Yeah, welcome to the world. Yeah, welcome to the Bay Area. It's the birthplace of psychedelics." All right. So you brought in $915 last week on your Amazon short calls, and then the bear call spread, we're going to debrief. So I'm getting tactical right now, and I didn't want to, but let's just, since we're on it, roll with me. So we did our Amazon bear call spread, the 117, 118, and for a day and a half to 2 days, it didn't look good, did it? But what did a couple people back me up with in the chat box? Because this isn't their first rodeo. Because a couple people who were new to solo Amazon said what in the chat box, followed by what in the chat box? It's only Tuesday. I don't know if it was Monday or maybe it was Tuesday in the primary brief. I said what? I treat a weekly option exactly the same as a monthly option. That makes no sense. It makes total sense. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are 5 days. 5 days in a weekly option if you put it on Monday. If you do a monthly options trade, right? I'm going to date myself. I was in Chicago when we came up with weekly options. Before that, us old people only had monthly and quarterly options. There wasn't no weeklies and there wasn't no dailies like there are today. The SPX, you can do day trades. So what I'm saying is, back in the old days when we had monthly options, a month is a lot of time. If you put on a monthly options trade, let's say we put on a November trade a month out today, and in the first week, something goes wrong. Do you freak the hell out? Well, obviously you do if something seismic change, right? If it's just kind of maneuvering, if you ejected out of that trade in the first week and then week 3 comes around, you're like, son of a bitch, it would have worked out perfectly. You have got to use the same mindset when you trade weeklies. Tuesday, there is a world. Let's just look at the chart. There is a world of time between Monday and Friday. Exactly, Eric. We used fractions. We called them teenies, an eighth, a 32nd, a 16th, a quarter of a point. You remember fractions? We had to shift all of our computers to decimal points. Exactly. So, folks, I think also in Solo Amazon, we did a poll. What did I ask? And what did you answer? About 70% of you were bearish to volatile. Okay. In these type of markets, you are going to have implosion this, implosion this, implosion. This is what this is going to look like. That's kind of what, if you roll inverted, that's so. And we talked about last week that this was a short squeeze. Why? First of all, I know because I see it. And second of all, because I talk to buddies and ladies in big firms, and they're like, oh yeah, we're getting wiped out right now. We're unwinding our shorts, which means you're going to see a couple days. What was last week's? 3. I said violent short squeezes can be 2. Slow meandering ones can be 4 to 5. It can be a whole trading week or 5 days. And then we slammed. So 1, 2, you knew it. Well, I knew it was. Did I know? No, but yes, I did know. Nobody's going to know what tomorrow brings. I get it. But this is why we do an intelligence brief, man. Our mission objective, folks, is to project our thoughts forward in space and time so we can influence events today, right? You get paid for what you think is going to happen out here. Unless you're source or divine or you're on your ibogaine trip. Remember Bart? Bart on his ibogaine. He was at his son's basketball game, right? The Friday night we did the ibogaine, our fire ceremony, and Bart got run over by a truck driven by God. I used to say that. Bart's was an 18-wheeler. But that next day, he told us about everything in the son's basketball game, and he saw the score. Guess what happened when he crossed the border from Mexico and talked to his son? The final score that Bart told us before he knew anything was the final score of the game. To the point. Let that freak you out. So anyway, here's what I'm getting at, folks. Which is a very bad thing for men to do, if you prematurely eject, it sucks. Couple things. If you were, quote, worried about that, not worried, you can be worried about a trade, right? Me, I've done this long enough where that happened last week. I'm like, it's Tuesday. I'm going to the beach or going to work out. Years ago, there'd be some worry, like, oh man, I'm worried about that. Years and years ago, it was freak out. Now it's a completely different mindset from ibogaine, from meditation, from mindfulness, from hot yoga, from position sizing. If you weren't me last week, like, if you were worried or freaking out, your position was too big, period. You had too much on, okay? If you were worried or freaking, your max potential loss was too much, okay? Yeah, exactly, Goose. It's a great way to say it. This was not a broad, this was not, there's no way in hell you could think this was a bottom. Now today, I mean, here's the drill bits in June. We're gonna flop around this 3650 for a little bit. But as we're upside down right now doing tactical first, we'll get to a trade here once I really do the brief. But I just wanted to cover that the short calls went out worthless. The repair trade that I told you could do hit max profit, and this bull put spread hit max profit. So the top of my slides say what? Discipline and risk management equals superior execution. If you were disciplined, you made a max profit. By managing risk, not risking more than your SOP. What is your SOP? My max potential loss, I will never go above $1,500, $1,000, $200, 10 grand, 20 grand. I don't know what it is. You have to fly and fight your own airplane. That's how you get superior execution, folks. And last week, I think it was in primary, we did the dogfight, man. We talked about dogfighting this trade. If you got into a gunfight last week with Amazon, you destroyed it. Meaning, as Amazon popped up, you closed the 117s. Excuse me. You closed the 117s for that loss or a little bit of a loss, and you let the 118s ride. I think we got up to like 122 last week. If you had let those 118s ride, the profit on those wiped out any little bit of loss on the short calls, and you made some nice money. Then you closed the 118s, and then you saw it start to roll over. You could have pounded it into the dirt by putting a bear call spread on. Again, this is what we do in the hunters and the max afterburner. That's that ain't for the faint of heart. This is why we call it dogfighting. It's not. This is an acquired skill. This is not, hey man, I just learned how to trade options, and I'm dogfighting these Amazon trades. But you're here to learn, and that's what we can teach you, especially in our investment clubs. All right, here we go. So did you see what happened the other day? The Attorney General, not Attorney General, the Surgeon General, one of them, General, the Surgeon General of the great and free state of Florida posted a study. First of all, he's a doctor and he's a PhD. The dude's brilliant. He's going to be Ron DeSantis' Surgeon General when DeSantis is elected president. He published a study, and he said for the state of Florida, he said men aged 18 to 39 should absolutely not get the COVID vaccine. It's got an increased, whatever. You can read the study. You could have read the study on Twitter until what? Twitter deleted it. So, some purple hair, nipple ring, remote Twitter employee working up the hill here. Who would you trust? The surgeon, a doctor, a PhD, the Surgeon General of Florida, or a remote Twitter employee? Can you believe that? So, yeah. The public needs to be aware of this. This analysis showed an increased risk of cardiac-related death among men 18 to 39. Florida will not be silent in the truth. Wow. The tweet was removed and replaced with a message from Twitter that reads, "This tweet violated the Twitter rules. Learn more." Anyway, they put it back up. First of all, they put it back up because they know Ron DeSantis. I was thinking Attorney General a couple minutes ago because the Attorney General in the state of Florida would have sued Twitter. They know they're in trouble. So ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the death rate's being up. I have a buddy in the insurance industry. This was a macabre trade I didn't brief you on, and I should have. Because even I can't pretend to be a good Gordon Gekko sometimes. But you ready for this? I should have briefed you on this. This was long. The insurance, there was a way. This was like it might not be too late, folks, because they're doing this. I'll brief you on this trade and you can figure it out. It's the insurance industry. The insurance executives have been the ones sounding the alarm. Why? My doctor gave me this tip. Not Doc Handle, a different doctor. He's been following this. The death rates for young males up 4 or 5, triple digits. The guy nailed it. I forget how he traded it, and it was getting in depth. Well, you got to follow this and this insurance index, and you do. I'm like, But guess what? The payouts these insurance companies are paying for people that they never thought they'd have to pay out for. The actuaries, folks, these are booger eaters. There's Excel sheets, right? These guys in this age group, we'll sell them insurance all day long because they ain't, we're making money off of this. They're getting destroyed. They're getting wiped out. And forget, maybe I'll reach out to him and figure out how he was doing this. But this is what happened in the subprime crisis. What's his name? Paulson. Wait a minute. You guys just took really shitty debt and sliced it up into this is really great, shitty debt. This is second really great, shitty debt. And you sold it to investors. I'm going to get, I'm going to short the hell out of that. And the guy became a billionaire in 2008 when the housing market imploded. So if you want, look into this. It's sad to say, but trades off people's death. You guys know what happened to Matthew. He got the initial one because Norwich University required it to come back on campus. And then he had to get the booster. He was down for 3 days with the booster. Many of you have met Matthew. He's a brick shithouse. Hockey player, wants to be a Marine or a naval officer. He was laid up in bed. I had tears in my eyes. I was going to, if something bad had happened to him. And here we are. You can't sue Big Pharma. You can't sue the government. Good luck with your altered DNA in your body. This will go down and hit, well, the history books are written by liberal academics, so maybe it won't. This is why the country is fracturing. Because I was going to say history is going to look back on this as a dark time in this country. Masking children, it's just, those poor kids and the least at-risk demographic, just because the teachers were lazy and didn't want to come to work. But anyway, this happened over the weekend, and this is awful. And we're all going to die news. Vladimir Putin is starting to figure out what he's going to do for hitting the bridge, the Crimea bridge blast. He just hit back at 20 Ukrainian cities. His predecessor, Medvedev, said, we're going to show you how much we've been holding back on Ukraine. So, let me get with this first. I've kind of had it with Zelensky, to be honest with you. Last week, Zelensky called for preemptive strikes on Russia. So he's calling for NATO countries, which he's not a member of, to preemptively strike Russia. Did you see that? Even so, after this video came out, even so, the foreign ministry of Ukraine walked. So it's pretty funny that Zelensky was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and a couple hours later, he's calling for a preemptive nuclear holocaust, kind of like Obama. President Obama just got elected, and he just got the Nobel Peace Prize. For what? Oh, that's right, getting us into war in Libya and Syria and, all sorts of shit. So, Foreign Minister Lavrov said Zelensky presented the world with further evidence of the threats posed by the Kyiv regime. This is why our military operation was launched to neutralize them. So his people actually walked this back. Zelensky calling for a preemptive strike against Russia, they actually walked back. But again, now you give Putin sound bites to use in Russia. And I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I do know what's going to happen because I've been right. Every day I talk to you about this. It's going to get worse. 50 missile strikes in Ukrainian cities. Folks, it's again, many people don't understand the difference between tactical and strategic victories. A lot of tactical victories. Blowing up a bridge is great, good call, until he levels every Ukrainian city. Then who wins? Nobody. It's just, I'm telling you guys, this is going to get worse. Good job tactically blowing up the bridge to Crimea. Bad job because it's going to end up blowing up in your face. Interesting headline. NATO once feared a Putin victory. Now it worries over his defeat. Exactly. Folks, this is combat. This is war. You have got to have flowcharts of potential outcomes, man. And it really seems like Democrats. So who's running this? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, who hours after the pipeline blew up said, this is great for us. This is awesome. What an opportunity. And then General Righteous Strike Milley, the guy who drone strikes 7 children. So, and of course, we all heard about Biden's Armageddon talk to Democrat donors. So the president of the United States, in private conversations with people who give him money, says, you know, we're on the brink of Armageddon. How about you tell us the truth? The president's grim assessment, told to buddies, not to us, appeared to be beyond the boundaries of current U.S. intelligence. U.S. security officials continue to say they have no evidence that Vladimir Putin has imminent plans for a nuclear strike. You mean other than him saying it? You mean other than Medvedev saying it? Shogun, the defense minister. You mean other than everybody in Russia media saying they're going to do it? So our intelligence agencies, who are just Johnny on the spot with 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction, right? Send more anti-missile rockets. Hey, Werner, can I claim Ukraine as a dependent on my taxes? So we're almost out of missiles, by the way, because we sent everything. So we've depleted the strategic petroleum oil reserve. The president of the United States has essentially depleted it right in front of the election. So our emergency use only oil is gone, and now almost all of our weapons are gone. So Werner, we have 60,000 homeless veterans in this country. We have 44 veterans killing themselves every day. We have a wide open border with 2 million immigrants that have poured through. Is there any chance that we could focus on the United States first, or do we have to focus on helping a non-NATO country fight a nuclear armed power? Are we gonna get paid back for all this, right? Or are we going to be on the hook for, I think it's $1 trillion right now to rebuild Ukraine? Awesome, good stuff. Last week it was buried on page 820, but the United States announced that they're buying $290 million worth of anti-radiation drugs. Exactly 10% to the big guy. So we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have, isn't it Ukraine of all countries, folks? You mean the same Ukraine where Hunter Biden was on the board making a couple $1 million for doing nothing? The same Ukraine where his dad is on video joking, saying, I told them to fire that son of a bitch prosecutor that's looking into my son. He didn't say that part, but I put that part in there. So I said, fire that prosecutor. I'm not going to give you the billions of dollars in aid. So guess what happened? They fired him. He's literally on tape saying it. So Trump gets impeached over a phone call with Zelensky, right? Saying, hey, you might want to look into this corruption. So asking a foreign leader to look into some corruption that involves a United States citizen is an impeachable offense, but actually being in Ukraine and saying, fire this guy isn't. When the Republicans win the House, the investigations will be, you want to go long popcorn stock. Yeah, exactly, man. We're renaming all the Confederate bases. I mean, what was the one Navy cruiser they're changing the name of? It was a battle that ended up being a Confederate victory, the Chancellorsville or something. We're renaming Navy ships, and so we have a lot of priorities going on here in this country. But billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars flowing into Ukraine. I love all the anti-gun Democrats in this country with background checks and all sorts of stuff like that, but we just literally airdrop weapons all over Ukraine. No background checks. They're on the black market. They might even come back to be used to kill Americans. It's good stuff going on, man. Again and again, there's no one talking peace except I'm going to put myself in the same sentence as the guy. Me and Elon Musk, Henry Kissinger, the Pope. If you try and talk about peace, you're an American terrorist, you're a subversive, you're a Putin sympathizer, and you're anti-American. All things that there's not even one shred, one cell of truth in my body, but isn't it funny all the biggest anti-war people in the world are like so pro-war right now? So the B of E, rate hikes will continue, right? The beatings will continue until morale improves. No pivot. The Bank of England says rates will continue. Inflation must be stopped. Oh boy. That does not bode well for us, folks. Now, it sucks not having my other monitor because I have to sit here and swap. Oh, we'll relog in a second here. Here's your headline of the century. If you're a retail trader and you've really not understood anything, read this headline and you will understand everything. Economic strength weakens outlook for stocks and bonds. If you've never followed me when I say we're in bizarro market, it's this headline. Strong jobs portends more steep interest rate increases, sidelining investors and pummeling markets. I've got to add this to my TGO saved bookmarks because that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything going on right now in one headline. Why did the market implode on Friday? Good jobs number. Now, did you see the Democrats? The unemployment rate went down. They were celebrating it, right? Joe Biden is on top of a strong economy. You know, of course, I love just talking to people who have no idea what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, the only reason, it's the same thing. 8 years of Barack Hussein Obama, ladies and gentlemen. The only reason the stock market went up under Barack Hussein Obama was Ben Bernanke. It was the Fed. It wasn't stifling regulations. It wasn't Frankendot. It wasn't raising taxes. If he got to do all of those, if he did all of those things, folks, without Bernanke doing QE, QE1, QE2, QE3, QE infinity, QTARP, they started making up words. You take that out, folks, and none of this exists. We all implode. But again, online, people are like, Joe Biden's in strong economy and everything like that. Folks, are you kidding me? So this is just, yeah, exactly. It's all rhetoric. So the only reason we're up here is because of the Fed and incredible government spending. We crossed the $31 trillion threshold. I think Cheaton last week told us what 31 trillion is. It's like infinity money. The odds of us existing are what? It's like, I think it's 444 trillion. The odds of you existing at this moment, being on this webinar right now, it's almost impossible, but clearly it's not since you're sitting here. The odds of you being alive at this moment are like 1 in, somebody looked that up. It's like, I have this memorized because it's supposed to be in my keynote, 400 trillion. Anyway, we're getting there. So this headline, yeah, I'll give you the link to this one, sure. So save this, ladies and gentlemen. Next time you're confused in bizarro market, read this. The strong jobs report on Friday meant that what? Jerome Powell's like, shit, things are still too hot. The Federal Reserve chief and Democrats can't come out politically and say, we need things to start breaking, right? But it's interesting because every time people tell me everything's so good, like Joe Biden and this and the jobs are strong and wages, I'm like, wait, first of all, wages, all they look is the wage number. They don't look at the wage number next to inflation. You're taking a pay cut, folks. No, wages are strong. Hey, jackwad, inflation, the way the government calculates it today is at 8.1%. Technically, the way we used to calculate it, it's at 60, it's double. You took a pay cut this year. So, good news right now is bad news because that means Jerome Powell's not going anywhere. Okay? Does that make sense? It should. Welcome to the new world. So, here we go, folks. Let's start peeling back the operational onion. This is a massive week. Massive week. The biggest thing that comes out this week, I think it's Thursday, is we get PPI on Wednesday. Wednesday at 2, folks, we get Fed minutes. If these Fed minutes are hawkish, we're really going to do our job. And remember, these are written down stuff. They're usually porridge. I think it was last Fed minutes last month. I'm like, I traded around it, and then I got back to saying what? That was dumb. Why am I trading Fed minutes? You used to be able to trade Fed minutes because they were allegedly boring. Now it's like, no. Now we got to read every sentence. So the Fed minutes come out on Wednesday. We get PPI on Wednesday. Thursday is it. CPI is the Fed's inflation gauge. 8 point. They're called. So here you go. So this is Joe Biden up here. Remember? So Joe Biden right here going 0. Of course, that didn't get fact checked, did it? Remember that press conference a month ago or whenever it was? I have one number for you, one word, 0. No inflation last month. He means it didn't go up month over month. It's at 8.5%. No fact checkers. It's a lie. It's gross. It's disgusting. I can't stand these people. They're good souls. They have a soul. God loves them as much as God loves me. But man, God is definitely, obviously better than me, much better than me, because this is, so if this goes down, so Wednesday, folks, we get PPI in the Fed minutes. So here's a living example of a world of time in a weekly trade, or just folks, an hour in this market is a lifetime. The Fed minutes come out and holy shit, they're really hawkish. Market's going to get hammered. The next day, CPI comes out. Hey, it's a little cooler. It'll be a rip your face off rally. Now, God forgive me for doing this, but this is the last, this should be the last CPI print before the election. Does everybody remember what happened last time? If you were here in 2012, when was this? Oh my God, man, 10 years? I can't believe this. The last jobs report in front of Obama's reelection. Blisteringly good. We were in a trade brief. I said, that's a lie. It's a lie. I said it before Jack Welch on CNBC said it. Jack Welch was a guest. They're like, hey, here comes the job numbers. It was insane. I'm like, that's a lie. And Jack Welch is like, yeah, that's not true. That's both of us, conspiracy theorists, liars. A year and a half later, truth. The inspector general did an investigation. 85 out of like 100 BLS employees that do the math on this were Barack Hussein Obama donors. A year and a half it took to do an investigation that those numbers were, I forget how they said it. I use the word lie because that's what it was. It was like misrepresented or this or that or whatever. Yeah, we didn't count this, or, oh, we made a mistake. It's gross. Why am I ranting about this? Are you telling me those same government bureaucrats who, under Barack Hussein Obama, still work there with their GS-15 and their pensions? I think the odds of, if this comes in hot, above expectations, you know it's insanely hot. I can't believe, I feel like I'm looking out at the Shanghai skyline. This is what I usually say about China numbers. If they're bad, they're worse than they're telling us. That's America right now. If these CPI numbers come in hot, it'll be a lookout below. This will be the start of the next massive leg down. Period. If they come in light, you're probably going to get a rally. But remember what also starts happening later in the week. Friday's another big day. We get core retail sales, the conference, no, I'm sorry, the University of Michigan inflation expectations and consumer sentiment. So big day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, big days this week. Exactly, Christine. So later in the week, in addition to all of this macroeconomic data, we get financials. Did you see FedEx? Weeks ago, FedEx. So ladies and gentlemen, financials and transports tend to lead us in and out of bad, ladies and gentlemen. So what is going on later in the week? We get Financials. Why am I mentioning FedEx? Did you see FedEx the past couple weeks? It's getting destroyed. They have said the world's ending. Financials and transports, ladies and gentlemen, are the canaries in the coal mine. You absolutely have got to keep an eye on what's it doing now. Let's go take a look. When you logged in, ladies and gentlemen, what was the market doing? Look at FedEx. FedEx, so what's SPX doing right now? I hate having a single screen. This drives me nuts. All right, so we're down. The market was up and the VIX was up, right? You guys all know to remember that. Market up, VIX up, something's up. Look at that, man. This feels very, 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 very heavy here. But back to FedEx. This does not bode well that FedEx is getting destroyed. It does not bode well, especially based on what? What they've said about why they're not. I mean, there's a lot of lookout below on FedEx. Yeah. Well, we've been drawing this with a lot of people. Let's just go over to Amazon. Well, do I have anything else left here? Yeah, the Fed's going to soon face its first true Volcker test, right? Continuing to hike into a full-blown recession, folks. This is there's some booger eating going on in here, but this is the Fed hiking rates going into a recession is going to be bad. We already briefed this. The good jobs number was bad, so you understand that now. That's your evidence. Because there was a lot of people last week asking questions about it. Like, I don't get that. How can that be bad? No, now you get it. The market is not the economy. That headline that says, hey, good economic numbers is bad for stocks. You lived it. We also take a look down here at the MACD, man. The MACD had chop. That was it crossed, but now it's skinny. Look at the last time they kind of kissed and there was a skinny period. Look up and see what happened. Massive leg down slam. So we got a cross here and skinny. A cross and skinny is not good. You need a cross and open. Moving average, convergence, divergence. You need the divergence. The convergence is get ready for a big move. So looks like a little snake head right there. We are get ready for a lookout below. Okay. Amazon. We're in Amazon. We're looking good. We've had, knock on wood, we've been knocking it out of the park with our Amazon trades. Some of them have been lucky strike moments, but they're lucky strike moments if you don't meditate. You shouldn't be smoking anyway. They're lucky strike moments if you're not doing yoga and meditating. It's just like teaching a kid how to fly formation. If you're squeezing the black out of the stick in the throttle, we're going to be all over the place. You actually let go. The more you let go, this is your life lesson. The more you let go, the better things get. Attachment, said a wise man named Buddha, is the root of all suffering. Do not get attached to trades. Let them go. If you're super attached, you're trading too much. So let's do our Amazon, man. We're going. There's a lot. We got to do the 5-year chart. This is ugly. I told you at the height of this thing, I said Amazon 90 to 80 is doable. Now I get it. They're hiring 150,000 workers. We always hear this, folks. We always hear the we're hiring and it's going to be a great Christmas and all sorts of stuff. And usually it is. The last Christmas massacre, treat your stocks as cattle, not pets. I like that. But we're not going to look. I'm not even going to start talking about Christmas or Santa Claus rally until after what? Election. Why? It's October, folks. Whether it's Herschel Walker, whether it's there are a lot of October surprises starting to pop around. We are in what 4 weeks ish to the election. We are going to see a lot of stuff coming out. Now it might just be political, but it also might be what happened last week. I'll never meet with Saudi Arabia, and they're backwards and they're awful and he's a murderer. Mr. President, you're flying on Air Force One today to go meet with that guy to beg for oil. Oh, okay. Did you see what this jackwad is doing now? We might lessen sanctions on Venezuela, a dictatorship, a horrible dictatorship that kills its people, so Chevron can pump. The President of the United States and Democrats would rather work with dictators than America. They'd rather get oil. They'd rather pay murderers for oil than to get it out of this country. That's how much they hate you. That's how much they hate. My God, man. If the dude got up today and said, you know what, I've been wrong about this, we got to say, I'm a tree hugger now, man. After doing the medicine and seeing the beauty, I am, of course, this is our only spaceship, man. We got one. I get it. I'd love to go green everything, man. Let's get there. It ain't right now. Crawl, walk, run. They want to sprint. If Joe Biden got up in front of a press conference today and said something like that, like, all right, man, we're gonna focus on that out here. You already got their votes, you idiot. They're not going anywhere. All the folks you already have aren't going anywhere. But if you got up today and said, you know what, man, Keystone Pipeline, we're gonna start drilling again in Alaska or off the coast of Texas and Galveston Bay and Louisiana, we're gonna throttle up domestic production. I would give him a golf clap and I would credit that man and say, nice job. Ain't no I told you so. It would be like, okay, Mr. President, well done. Short term tactically, but he's not going to do it. So, Goose, you and I can sit here and you literally scratch your head going, that's the answer. Americans are dying from inflation, almost literally. This is the answer for now. For now, Mr. President, a short term, let's just kind of drill a little bit. Under Donald J. Trump, no matter what you think of the guy, we exported oil. We went from being dependent on the Middle East and getting involved in wars to not being dependent on the Middle East. Now we're talking to Iran and Venezuela about getting oil. Iran, who's killed Americans. Enough ranting. Bearish, Amazon. Take a look at the at the money straddle. Let's see what let's see what the options market is telling us. 114 is the current price. Let's take a look at the at the money straddle for some short calls and another bear call spread. We might even do a bear put spread, man. $5 wide straddle. So the options market, if you logged in early after the market opened before Amazon went down, the at the money straddle, the upside was 121. And I was actually going to put on a 119, 120 bear call spread. And now we're going to have to come down on that. So short calls, let's do the bear call spread first. Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea, folks. If you want to cover maybe the election, again, no Santa Claus rally yet. I know some of you who listen to me, you got your calendar reminder that said, hey, it's time to start getting long Amazon XLY, blah, blah, blah. Remember, those are all recommendations, right? Kind of like when I put maybe in a text alert, maybe eject at this point. You have to know what's going on. So this would be one of the years where you don't start building a position in those things yet. We got an election. There's a lot of stuff coming on. Once we put the election behind us, not even once we do that, a couple days before the election, if it looks like, I'm back to a 50 delta on the Senate. There's some maneuvering going on. We got Leader McCarthy, unfortunately, and then we might take the Senate. Why am I rambling about that? Because as that stuff starts cementing, we're going to leapfrog and start getting long. We don't have to. I think the rally's going to. You want to be early on the rally, but it ain't right now. So, here's why I'm hemming and hawing. I want to go out maybe a month and put on a debit spread down here on Amazon. Kind of like our SPX Tredge that's just printing money right now. Remember, if you're in that Tredge, the SPX Tredge, I think I did it last week or 2 weeks ago in solo Amazon. Close and open it, man. Take profits on those things, man. Remember, with a debit spread, if I make 50%, 100% on my money, I'll start looking at closing it. But obviously, with a debit spread, man, you can let those things run hundreds and hundreds of percent to max profit if you want. But kind of like that SPX Tredge would, I want like an Amazon Tredge in case. Well, you know what? Let me start here first. Wow, I went long and I apologize, but let me start here first. Listen to me. Placing a trade right now, and this might knock some of you out, which is fine, because this is my job to brief you. Doing any trade this week, whether it's bullish or bearish, I stop myself from using the word dangerous. I'm going to use the word aggressive. It's aggressive. Why? Because of what I already briefed you on. If the CPI comes in light, it's a rip your face off rally. We'll bounce back up to 3650 or something like that. Let me have SPX up here, because I might be talking myself out of a trade, but not on VIX. So let's back up a little bit, man. So Eric, there's a couple. So the Fed minutes, let's back up, because this is a good discussion to have, because that's ugly right now. It's ugly right now, Monday, in a cold and dreary San Francisco. If we get Fed minutes that are hawkish, right, the written word says is worse than Jerome Powell has said, and the dot plot, right, out into the future. If that's surprisingly hawkish, we're going to implode. But 24 hours later, if CPI, the Fed's number one inflation altimeter, horizon, is light, it'll be a rip your face off rally back up to 3,800, man. I guarantee you. So Eric, there's a higher probability that those CPI numbers come in light. I hate talking like this, but you want a friend, get a dog. This Democrats play dirty pool. The bureaucrats at the Bureau of Labor Statistics would never juice the number. They did in front of Obama's election. There was an investigation. I was shocked that they did an investigation. I was even more shocked that they were honest. Restored a little bit of my faith in humanity. So I'm hemming and hawing here because I don't like this. Let's go to VIX, actually. I don't like an Amazon trade for this week. I think the VIX keeps going into the CPI, keeps going up to the CPI number. Maybe we got a VIX trade over an Amazon trade. Look at this, man. Wow. Although, you know what, folks? Even if we get a lighter than expected CPI number, and we get a rip your face off rally, that might be a little. Maybe we do put the Amazon. It's not a Tredge. That's what the SPX would be. It would be, yeah. Let's look at that. There's a lot of altitude between. It's Amazon's struggling right now, man. To this one. Look at 115 here, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a whole week. 115 is a Mason-Dixon line with Amazon. If you don't hold 115, you got 105-ish right on target. So maybe out a couple weeks is a 110. Let's do that. Let's at least get that one on now. And some short calls. I'm always good for short calls, man. Because you can eject out of anything, but you're going to keep an eye on your short calls. So if you are in the Amazon Jan of 23, 4, whatever, you guys know what it is, whatever that trade is, let's rent out our front month upside calls, man. What was the straddle? 119. Let's go just underneath that. Let's sell 5. 117. So right around, it's bringing in $810. Let me grab a screenshot of this. This is for the folks that are in the however far out that one is. If I had 2 screens up, I'd be able to tell you right now off the top of my head. But sell, and obviously you're selling however many contracts you did. If you did 1 contract, if you did 20, if you did whatever. Amazon, synthetic stock, 10, 10. Let's go out. Now, November 11th, let's at least cover the election, November 4th. As we've talked about, if the Republicans win both, it's going to be very bullish. The market loves gridlock. The market loves gridlock. It hates one-party rule, whether it's Republican or Democrat. 110, we might even go wide. Buying the 110, selling the, let's do a wide one. Let's play around with this. I don't know, about 30 of these. Perfect. Risking 5 to maybe double our money. All right. So this, kind of gave you my commit criteria, but this is definitely a overall market's going to take another leg down. Amazon's going to take another leg down and fill that. There's a lot of altitude between 115 and 105. So this is a middle if Amazon rolls over. Let me say this again before you fire this trade. If we get light CPI, it'll rip your face off, head higher. This trade will be losing money. It doesn't lose money formally until what? You close it. So even if later in the week we get a rip your face relief rally on light CPI numbers, I would hold this trade on, okay? So let me grab this. So let's just brief it real quick. This is the debit spread. I rarely do debit spreads, but when I do, they mean something. Buy 30 of the November 11th. So I'm going out a month. This is a, and we can, and with a debit spread, folks, we can do what? If this goes against me, we can always dogfight, but hold on, let me brief it. Buy 30 of a month out, the 110 puts. That's me saying buy a month out. I think Amazon has imploded. Okay, we can sit here and red team it. Peace in Ukraine, lighter inflation, employment starts breaking, the Fed takes its foot off the brake. A lot of things could make this trade go against us. You got to sit here and go through all that stuff and acknowledge them. Selling a lower strike put, right? So this is I'm bearish. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. This tactic is called a bear put spread. It's also called a debit spread. Why? Because I'm coming out of pocket. I'm paying to do this trade. All right, let me grab a screenshot of this. Again, as I'm grabbing a screenshot, let me remind you, you could hold on to this trade if your commit criteria is everything I've kind of been saying. But you know what, Wiz? I ain't going to risk a light CPI print and this thing pops. If it pops, though, I still believe you're right. We're eventually going to get some shit show after that. Then wait to put it on. You can put this on Matter of fact, if you put it on, if we get a light CPI print, market has a rip your face off rally, you'll get a better price on this, won't you? Right? So I'm risking 5 to potentially make 10. This is a double your money trade, potentially. If Amazon implodes, you will double your money. Okay? File, save as. Now, unlike, and yeah, you can, good question. Folks, you can turn these into like, you can stagger this. Yeah, you know what, Charles? That's a great way to look at it, man. Maybe do 15 now. Maybe you leg into it. You know what, Wiz? I'm going to do 15 now. And then the CPI print comes in raging high. Fire the 15 immediately. All right. So if we're not in a brief, when is that? Thursday? When's the CPI come out? 8:30? Is it a before? Maybe y'all, yeah, man. Maybe you can stagger it. Like the way you think, Charles. Thursday at 8:30. So we'll know. So Thursday, folks, if you're just in solo Amazon, you're not going to join me for Thursday's Accelerated Retirement Brief, but I'll be talking about this Amazon trade, how to dogfight it. Shameless plug for you to join Full Throttle. Not just being solo Amazon, but that's a great way to scale into something. So, yeah, Lael Brainerd, she's well, Lawrence, I can't say she's definitely going to be hawkish because she's responsible for this, right? She did this right here, Lawrence. She did this. Right here, she said, we don't want to overshoot. Now, that might not sound too hawkish to you. It sounded hawkish to me and everybody else in the market, right? Because it was hawkish up till that point. You're right. She was good. She's like hawk, but we want to be careful we don't overdo it. And the market ignored all the hawk and heard dove. She doesn't want to goon this up. Of course they don't want to goon it up. They want to land this airplane safely. Okay? So if you are a little bit more advanced, I'm not going to say that. If you're a little bit more aggressive, ladies and gentlemen, you could do a bear call spread. Oh man, I gotta move stuff around. You could do a bear call spread and for the week, but that's that's definitely a little bit sporty. You could be your short calls are for the synthetic, the long-term bullish position, but you could do a bear call spread for the week that helps pay for that debit spread. So the short calls are bringing in money. You could do what would the strikes be? I'd probably look up at the 118, 119 bear call spread. But again, guys, this is not. If you thought last week was like, it'll be the same as last week, folks, as far as lucky strikes. Because last week everybody was kind of waiting on the jobs number, weren't they? Yeah, geez, you'd have to go lower. I'd be sitting on my hands now. But what did we do? 70 of those last week? 70? God, it just looks cold and miserable out. I'm going to get back to Florida. So, yeah, I think we did. Or today, this is the bear call spread, the weekly trade I'd look at. But this ain't. I'll at least, my job is to. Your job is to fly your airplane, but this is the trade that an aggressive whiz, not necessarily solo Amazon instructor pilot, would do. Me flying my own airplane, but I got to say this, man. I would expect the CPI to come in light. It breaks my heart to say that if the government is going to fudge some numbers, it would be these. So if it comes in hot, expect a no shit. We are imploding because people like me sit here and go, holy crap. If it came in hot, they're lying to us. It's a lot hotter than that. Paul, so you're talking about the credit spread. Obviously, you could, if you put this bear call spread on right now, every second that goes by in any credit spread, but especially in a weekly trade, you get what? Theta. You're making money little by little on time decay. So you can put on this bear call spread now and kind of hang and let it disintegrate and then close it. Yeah, you can always close these trades in front of an announcement just to be safe. That is a great idea. So, okay. Sorry I went long, guys. 1111 is a holy number. Make a wish. I am blessed and unstoppable. Every time I talk to Marcus, how you doing? Wiz, you know how I'm doing. You don't even have to ask me. I am blessed and unstoppable. So we are blessed and unstoppable. Thank you for your flexibility. No brief tomorrow. We'll do a joint brief on Wednesday because I'm flying like 2 legs home out of here on Delta. So I'll be on planes tomorrow. I'll be online and stuff like that. So another reason to be in the investment clubs, because sometimes I hate the connectivity. I used to look forward to airline flights because you could get away, but now I'm like, I still work. But so we will reconvene Wednesday morning, and I'll get the replay posted here. I'll get the trades posted on the member page. Make sure you register for Thursday's brief if you're not in one of our investment clubs, so you can get in one of the investment clubs. I appreciate it, Sledge and Tamara. Awesome. If you have any questions, concerns, by the way, get in the ready room, and you can post your questions and comments in the ready room. If you're not in one of the investment clubs, it's kind of our MacGyver investment club. You can go in there and post stuff, okay? All right, guys, I got to get going. I'm going to go triple layer up and go walk around San Fran and go find a cup of coffee. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. Fights on and namaste. I'll see you guys Wednesday morning.